Hi guys, thanks for joining me today. I'm Marilyn and my channel is Making with Marilyn. Now with Christmas coming up, I need to get busy and make some gifts for my great nieces and nephews. So on today's video, I'm going to make a couple of sublimation tumblers for my great nieces. I'm going to start with a couple of short and squatty sublimation tumblers for kids. These are from PYD Life. I'm going to print my designs on this HTV sublimation paper. Now I'm going to use an Epson EcoTank 15,000 that I converted to a sublimation printer. All that means is instead of putting the ink in it that came with it, I put some sublimation ink into it instead. And in this printer I used Hippo sublimation ink. I'm also going to use my computer. I have some designs that I've made from images that I got off of Creative Fabrica. If you're interested in seeing how I put these together, let me know in the comments below. I'd be happy to do a video on that as well. So after I print my designs, I'm going to go ahead and cut those down to fit my tumblers. I have a cutting mat, I have a rotary tool, and I have a metal ruler with cork on the back. Once I have that done, I'm going to wrap them around my tumblers. I'm going to use my favorite heat-resistant tape. Now to determine the size that I need to print my images, I use this tumbler measuring tape. And then for the height, I just use a regular measuring tape. I'm also going to use some scissors, some heat-resistant gloves. When I put my tumblers into the press, I'm going to use butcher paper to wrap around them to protect the press. Now for this project, because these tumblers are short, I'm going to use a horizontal press instead of my upright auto press. This is an Enur heat press. Also, if you're interested in anything that I'm using, I'll put the links to those in the video description below this video. So if you're interested in this project, sit back, relax, and let's get started. Let's go ahead and check out these tumblers. I'm doing 2 of them today. And they are wider than a typical 20-ounce skinny sublimation tumbler, but of course they're a lot shorter. So you can see right there kind of what the proportions are. Has this lid on it, just like most of them do. And then you have this stainless steel or metal straw. Let's go ahead and measure this so I know how large to make my design. This is a tumbler measuring tape. I bought 2 of these off of Amazon. It was a package of 2, and they weren't very expensive. But what I like is, first of all, you can do centimeters or inches. And I like that it goes down to the 1/16 of an inch. Some of them that I looked at only went down to 1/10 of an inch. And of course, that's not how inches work. So I like this one. All right, so if I pull it tight, I can see that the perimeter of this tumbler is just a tiny bit more than 10.5. So I think I'm going to print mine at 10.6 inches wide. And then as far as the height goes, I'm going to start at the 1 because I don't like this metal tag here. So I'm going to start at the 1. And let's pull this tight. And so the height is about 4¼ inches. So I'm going to go ahead and print this at 4.3. So 10.6 by 4.3. Now before I do anything else, I want to go ahead and clean this off. I don't think I talked about alcohol in the intro, but I use 90% rubbing alcohol. You can buy it at Walgreens, Walmart, maybe Dollar General. I'm not sure if Dollar General had the 90% or not. But I like to clean them just to be safe in case there's anything on it that might keep it from sublimating well. The nice thing about alcohol is it dries really, really quickly. Now you do have to make sure that if you have your prints anywhere near you, you don't get any of the alcohol on those because that's going to ruin your sublimation prints. Now we're just going to be on the computer for about a minute. I want to show you the elements that I put into my design, and I want to show you how they turned out. This is a file that I downloaded off of Creative Fabrica. My nieces both have long hair. One is really long, one is longish. So for one of my nieces, I use this girl, but my niece has red hair. So I changed her hair color. And then for the other niece, I used this little girl here. I changed her hair color to red also. I changed her shirt to match this shirt. And I changed her shorts to purple. I also made the heart purple. If you're interested in seeing how I did that, let me know. Now I also used something off of Creative Fabrica for the background. It was this purple right here. When I took all of this into Silhouette Business Edition, I ended up decreasing the transparency because I wanted it to be a little bit more subtle than what it was going to be. So here's how they turned out. I think these are going to be super cute. Let me go ahead and print these, and then I'll meet you back over at the table. When I printed my images, you might have noticed that they looked pretty bland, pretty light colored. Sublimation ink prints like this, then when you add that high heat for an extended amount of time, the colors really pop. So these colors should look much more like what you saw on the computer screen when I showed you the designs and what they look like now. All right, let's go ahead and cut these down. You can cut yours down however you like to, but what I prefer is a ruler with cork on the back, and then I like to use a rotary cutter with it. So let's go ahead and press that blade out. I like to print my prints just a little bit larger than you need to so that you can cut off a tiny bit of the color of the image. Because if you have white up against your tumbler, you're going to get a white streak on your tumbler. Now the color of this is so light, it's hard to tell if I actually cut any of the color off. So I think I'm going to cut just a little bit more off. Then I'm going to cut the sides and the bottom. I'll do that on both designs. And then we're going to tape these onto our tumblers. Now it's time to go ahead and add these to the tumblers. Now just like when I do the tall skinny straights, I'm going to flip this upside down. I'm going to flip my image upside down, and I'm going to put it flat on the table. That way I can make sure it's straight. All right, you want to make sure it meets up here. For now, I'm going to go ahead and put one piece of tape on. And I want this very snug. And then let's look at the top. I feel like the paper could come up just a little bit. So I'm going to kind of tap it so it does, because I want it just above the top of the tumbler. So the paper's right here, and it's just right up at the top of the tumbler, maybe slightly above it. Now I'm ready to go ahead and tape the rest of this down. So I'm going to put the tape on the side of paper that is on the top, squeeze that together, and then press it down. Now I can just run it to the inside. I'll do the same thing at the bottom. Now the bottom of mine doesn't meet up exactly, but I'm good with that. I think it's going to be just fine. Squeeze it together, and then pull this tight around the bottom. Now to tape these, hopefully I got a piece of tape that goes all the way around. These are wider than the skinny tumblers, and I'm used to pulling enough tape for the skinny tumblers, but it looks like I'm going to be just about right. So my first piece of tape is snug, but notice I didn't stretch it. I didn't really pull it super tight. This next one I will. So the first piece of tape just kind of stabilizes your paper so that the paper doesn't shift and crinkle. So I'm going to put this piece to where it's partway on, and partway off. I'm going to hold the tape, and I am pulling this really, really tight. I want it to kind of fold in, have a little rebound effect, so that it wants to pull the paper in like that. I'm going to go around, push straight over, and then I'll go ahead and attach the tape to the inside. Now I never twist on my tape, I go straight over. Then I look for puckers at the top. Let me see if I see any. And on this tumbler I really don't. That's a good thing. Let's do the same thing at the bottom. Because I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom and on the next tumbler, I'm just going to fast forward through this part. Now the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and rub these really hard on this cutting mat, just to make sure the top and the bottom are nice and tight against the tumbler. If there's any puckers in those that I didn't see, hopefully this takes those out. Now I don't love that this tape is kind of bent over like that. It's not very smooth on the tumbler, but we're going to see how that turns out. If you have your tumbler pressed too tight, you can also see some indentions from your tape. Your press needs to be tight, but it doesn't need to be so tight that you're really fighting with it to get it closed. Good snug pressure will do. All right, let's go ahead and bring the press over here. Now this is an Enure manual press, and earlier I think I already got it to where the pressure needed to be for these tumblers because they are quite a bit wider than a typical skinny tumbler. Let me check it and see. Okay, that feels pretty good. I can tell that once it heats up, I'm going to have a little bit of a hard time closing it because as it heats up, the mat with the heat on it expands. I think that's what happens. All right, let's make sure that this gap is about even all the way down. I think that looks good. So I have my pressure set. The power switch is right here. So I'm going to flip that on. And then this has 4 modes. Right now it's on mode 1. So if I press 1, I'm going to see it set for 375 for 50 seconds. Mode 2, 350 for 15 seconds. Mode 3, 390 for 200 seconds. And mode 4, 360 for 30 seconds. For stainless steel tumblers, I use the 375 for 50 seconds. After it goes through one cycle, I open it, I turn it, and I close it for 50 more seconds. So let's go ahead and let this preheat. When it does, we're going to go ahead and do these tumblers. Now, even though maybe 2 of them would fit at the same time, I'm going to do them each individually. I don't want to press my luck at doing something like that. Now, I realized after I started preheating this that I didn't have that tumbler in there. So I went ahead and put it in, and now this is all the way up to temperature. Let me go ahead and take that out. I also got something that I could put the tumbler on to protect my table. It's an old Cricut pressing mat. You could get something out of your kitchen. You could use an old pressing mat. Just anything that'll protect your table. Now, for me, I like to have the seam either at the front or the back. I think you get the best pressure there, and I want that seam to turn out really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and slide it in, and then I want it in the middle. If it's off to one side and you have pressure here and here, this side's going to close more, and so it's going to be angled, so the top of your tumbler may not do so well. So you need to have it in the middle. All right, close that up. When you close this up, you have to press enter. Once you do that, the time starts counting down. On this press, the beeper goes off. You press enter again, that stops the beeper. And then we're just going to go ahead and turn this all the way around, 180 degrees. Let's close it up and press enter again. Because this is such a wide tumbler and you have such a large area not getting the same amount of heat, I'm going to turn this and do it for about 20 more seconds. All right, there's 20 more seconds. You can see it through. That is a good sign. Let's go ahead and do this one. Once again, I'm going to have this either toward the front or the back. In this case, it's toward me, so it's at the front. I have it fairly centered. We'll close this and start the countdown. Now, just like the first one, I'm going to place this area that wasn't against the press. I'm going to have it against the press. And then what that does in turn is that side that wasn't against the press the first time, now it's toward me and it is under the press. So 20 more seconds, I think that'll do it in case there would have been an issue. All right. Let's start by unwrapping the first one that I did, which I think is this one. Yes, that one is still extremely hot. This one still is very hot, but not nearly as hot as that. Let's move that aside. Yeah, this is hot, but I can handle it. To get my tape off, I just kind of put a snip in the top and start peeling it off. Once I get the top tape off, I'll do the same thing on the bottom. So just kind of pull it up somewhere. Put a slice in it, and that helps it come off more easily. I am excited. All right, let's take a little sneak peek, just in case it's not done, so I could put it back in the press. Oh, that looks really good though. Okay, I hope the girl looks good. Oh, it looks perfect. It looks so good. That looks so cute. Look at that. Remington's gonna love that. Now, look at the top seam. It looks excellent. Let's look at the bottom seam. That looks good. Now, it doesn't match up exactly there, but I'm okay with that. And then here's the back. You can tell where it is, but it doesn't look bad. I love that. That is adorable. Hopefully Piper's turned out just as good. That one is so cute too. These turned out great. Got a little bit of tape up here. Let's get rid of that. And there's Piper. The top seam looks great. There's the back. Now it looks like it slid apart a little bit there, or not slid apart, but I didn't have it overlapping. So there is a tiny little mistake there. I don't think that's going to bother Piper too much. And then here's the bottom seam. These are adorable. Look at how cute those are. All right, let's go ahead and put the lids on. And then I have a straw for each one, which I'll just leave out for now. So here's our final projects. I think they are super cute. I think the girls are going to love them. Now remember, if you're interested in seeing how I did this, let me know. I'd be happy to do just the computer part or the design part of this. It was very, very easy, but if you need to know the steps, let me know. I'm happy to do that. I hope you enjoyed the video today. If you did, give me that thumbs up. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, leave them in the comment section below. And remember, if you need any links to products, those are in the video description. Thanks again for joining me, and until my next video, bye-bye.